to yet another installment of the series that still has no name, the Dead or Alive Move Exhibition question answering whatever the fuck it is. I am your hostess, the mostess, the perfect panty power pony princess, the badass bitch, Blood 13 of the Rooster Teeth website. And today we're going to be doing the command training for... Nope, there we go. Jann Lee. And guess what? Default, shirt off, so fuck you. So, I don't know which one of his outfits actually is better. We'll go with this one. It looks cooler because he has, like, fucking... the gloves. I don't know. Anyways, it's been a while since I recorded the last one of these, which was with Tina. I don't know, it's been like a couple of weeks maybe or something. I just decided, I have time today, why not go for it? So, the question this time around is, how did you get into gaming? Or another question from somebody who is pretty much... okay. The question I got is technically two questions. I just combined them into one because they fucking coincided with each other, basically. It's how did you get into gaming, like I already said, and then the other question is what got you started with gaming, first console, first game, arcade memories, so on and so forth. Alright, so, let me adjust my volume here. What got me into gaming was, pretty much, like, whenever I was a small child. I don't even remember how early it started, but there was just pretty much at every point in my life that I can physically remember, there was a video game console somewhere in my life. So, I just sort of grew up with games. My grandfather, on my mother's side, was actually... I don't know how else you could say it. He was obsessed with Tetris and puzzle games on the Super Nintendo. Actually, he was obsessed with Tetris on the Game Boy. And I still have his old Game Boy. And it was the old gray brick from hell. The giant thing that took 2 AA batteries and had a green screen. So we still have that. Oops. But yeah, I still have that. And I... occasionally take it out and use it just for the fun of it, basically, but whatever. But he always loved puzzle games, and my uncle, who was his son, I'm not sure exactly how long they had video games before I came around. I assume they probably had them virtually as soon as they came out. But my uncle had played the Nintendo system, the NES, and really liked Super Mario, and so when the Super Nintendo came out and Super Mario World came out, he played the hell out of that. And that's one of my earliest memories of video game everything, is that he beat Super Mario World for us, pretty much, because I played the game a lot as a kid. I probably could barely get past the first level because I was a kid and all, but I distinctly remember him being there one day and showing me he could beat the game. And I was all like, oh my god, that's amazing, because I was a kid and couldn't do it. Now, I could fucking beat Super Mario World probably in one sitting. That being said, even though, like, everything was pretty much Nintendo-centric in that way, I think that my first, like, console that I was pretty much the only one that touched very much anyways, because I didn't own my first console probably until the Dreamcast. That was the first console I had that was mine. Well, maybe PS2, but I think the Dreamcast came first. I honestly can't recall. But regardless, the first thing I had that was probably considered mine was a Sega Genesis, because out of everybody that played video games, like my grandfather, my grandmother played video games occasionally. She loved Super Mario as well. My own mother occasionally would play video games sometimes. But out of everybody that played video games, I was the only one that really seemed to latch onto them completely. Everybody else seemed like, oh, it's a fun thing to do on occasion. And the Genesis was the one thing we owned that I was practically the only person that played, because for some reason, everybody else, they liked Sonic, but they couldn't quite, I guess, work with it. I don't entirely know, like, I don't know how to put it, I can't remember a lot of what it was, it's a combination of those two things. can't... There we go. So, I played the hell out of Sonic as a kid. Back when Sonic was really good still, you know. How come I can't do this? Okay. No. There we go. I did that once and it didn't count for some reason. But I played the hell out of Sonic as a kid. Sonic is probably one of my favorite game series, even though they've completely destroyed it at this point because they suck. But I've always loved the Sonic games because it's just sort of what I grew up on. So the old school Sonic games I can play endlessly, and even though it's like in the realm of controversial, I still really love Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. After that, that's where things start to get a little bit shifty. I think the first game, though, that I ever played at all was probably Tetris. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because, like I said, my grandfather played the hell out of Tetris, and I feel like that was what he introduced me with, was, here's my Game Boy, play this game, you just have to make a line out of the blocks, it's really easy. If it wasn't Tetris, it was probably Super Mario World. But that's as far as I can recall on any of that. Like I said, at this point, it's all so far in my past, I honestly don't remember for sure. As for arcade memories, though, I live in the middle of nowhere. I've said this about 1,000,000 times in all my videos. There are no arcades here. The closest arcade that was ever here was about 30 or 35 miles away in the next town over. So there wasn't very often I had an interaction with an arcade, and I didn't have my first interaction forever. It was in the mall. So, like, that was back when arcades were still a major thing. They're kind of resurfacing now, but at some point they sort of went under almost completely. It was a horrible time, actually. It was really sad. But we went to the mall at some point, and I don't know if I never noticed it before, if I was too young to know what it was, or any number of circumstances. All I know is at some point I discovered there was an arcade there, and I was like, what is this magical place? So, pretty much from then on, every time we went to the mall, I would try to convince my mother to just let me go to the arcade while she went off and did whatever. Like, there were toy stores in the mall, there were cool stores in the mall, there was all kinds of great stuff. I forewent, like, the chance to have anything in the mall just to go to the arcade to not even play, because I would run out of money in, like, a couple of seconds. And I would just sit around and watch the older kids and the adults and everybody else just play stuff. Honestly, I can't even remember what they had in the arcade that was in the mall. But I'm thinking about it, I honestly can't remember what games they had in there. The one game I recall them having was a driving game, which had, like, the whole, like, driving seat and steering wheel and gas pedal, brake pedal interface. I don't remember what it was called. All I remember is that it was extremely old, because it was one of those games that had untextured polygons in it. I want to say it was called, like, Stunt Drive or something, because the track had a bunch of, like, jumps, and there was a loop. And it was, like, it was one of those games that was unnecessarily difficult, also because arcade games tend to be that way. And that's the only thing I can recall that was there. Beyond that, they probably had, like, the normal stuff like Time Crisis. They probably had DDR, and I just don't recall it because I didn't play DDR for the longest time because I assumed it was going to be impossibly hard for me to ever understand. They probably had, like, Area 51. That was a normal one that was always in arcades back then. I mean, pretty much just everything you would expect to see in an arcade is probably about what they had there. Now I have to figure out how to turn my back on this bitch. Hang on. I gotta figure out how to turn around. How do I turn around? I want to turn around! How do I put my back to her? How do I do a spin kick? I need to do a spin kick. Hang on, let's see if there's a command list move for turning around. Nope, there sure as shit isn't. That, I don't entirely know. Alright, let's try step out, and then let's try dragon stance. That wasn't it. I'm also trying dragon stance first, so fuck you. That was just a fucking, that was nothing, Jann Lee. Nope. Alright, how the fuck do I turn around? Alright, can I make the computer jump over me? Fuck, of course I can't. How do I get... Bitch! I can get to her back, that doesn't help me though. Hang on, I'll figure this out. Let's just do it this way. No. 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 Look, I don't fucking know how to turn Jann Lee around, okay? I don't use Jann Lee that often. He's pretty cool. I just don't use him, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Alright, there was a spin kick. But it wasn't enough of a spin kick. No. 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 How the fuck do I get somebody behind me? God damn it, I'm almost done and I just can't figure this out. I don't fucking know, so while I figure this out, I'm gonna keep talking. But pretty much, like I said, like, video games have just always been in my life as far as I can remember in my entire, like, childhood. So, there's just not a whole lot of, like, it was a revelation kind of thing. It's just sort of, like, it was always there, and it was just fated to be that I would be into video games because there was no escaping the concept of video games. How the fuck do I turn around? No. No. What was that? Look, he did a weird, like, super air punch thing, and I can't seem to replicate it now. What the fuck's up with that? Also, I figured it out. I just do that. Now my back is to the bitch. So there we go. Alright. Damn it, bitch. That's like a complicated ass thing because you have to hold down and push that and shit. You have to hold down and push punch kick, and then you have to hold down again, and then you have to push the button you want. It's like you don't have any fucking time to do that in the middle of battle. Oh, I did it. Okay. Nope. Nope. That's how I did it. Dragon counter. Fuck. Fuck. Okay, well, I guess we're done now, pretty much. Alright, there you go. That was Jann Lee's training. Kabam! Relatively easy, relatively short. Didn't have a whole lot to talk about in the course of this question and video, so it kind of worked out, I guess. Anyways, though, that was Jann Lee, like I said. Tune in next time for another character and another moveset.